This recording is made in black and white, reason being because I'm grieving. I'm grieving not only things, opportunities I missed, or those moments when I was helped immensely by others, and I've just walked across their boundaries without realizing that for decades. Just to name a few, was one of my bosses, Caroline Betts, or Pippa King, both of them, or well, even Becky Ellis, the lead nurse at the time when I was interviewed for my first NHS job, who saw me without me realizing it for more than a decade, and who just had the hunch that I was different, yet had the subtle ability to not only harness that for the benefit of the unit, of their own work subject, but also to create opportunities for me I could actually take without a hint of embarrassment, overwhelming incompetence, or narcissism. So that was great, and so I'm not only grieving those things with now a bit increased mindfulness, but also a loss of certain people, and most importantly, a loss of time. That lie from perfectionism, when I just lie in for hours on end, when I procrastinate, when I fail to realize that the now is here and now, when I dissociate, often, well, it has happened for months on end, out of fear of incompetence, or out of uncertainty, or out of sadness or pain. Some of the people who saw me, and I fail to see them, cannot come back anymore. So I'm grieving, hence this black and white video. I was thinking about this thing, and it seems when we look at things, you know, we as human beings, or a community of people, or human species, seem to be going between the two extremes all the time. One of them is that thinking we are really nobody, and we don't matter in the grand scheme of universe, which again isn't true, beautifully illustrated by the fact of the harm we actually already done to the planet we live on, the Earth, and the rest of the biosphere through climate change. On the other hand, the other extreme of this arrogance, you know, when we tell ourselves, oh, we are alone at that height. Not only that, but we actually successfully try to convince ourselves through nothing more tangible but beliefs, so not even facts, but beliefs and subsequently manufactured cultural so-called values, which are pseudo-values really, that we are ultimately independent and we don't need nobody. Well, we are still interconnected. Moreover, we can only function through our connections. So when we, create this narcissistic view of ourselves, this really egocentric or geocentric for a long time a view of the universe and the world. So between the two extremes, which means not enough or abundant, the healthy way seems to be, to me, is to be enough, not abundant. Because when it's really extreme, our behavior, the only way to kind of balance it out, to maintain some basic functionality, is to apply the opposite extreme of the same scale. But there is a big difference between that kind of balance, that kind of equilibrium, and that genuine, harmonious equilibrium. When the extremes that cancel each other out create some silence or some balance, which is nature's ultimate aim, whatever happens, because it needs to maintain some basic functioning of the universe, including us in it or within it. That's very brittle. That's a very tense, very superficial balance, which means it does not really have reserve to be resilient, i.e., to return to the balanced state regardless of the actual shock it gets from either inside or outside of that system. And moreover, it isn't adaptive. So resilience means bouncing back where we were before that influence or that shock, that stress impacted upon us. But adaptiveness means learn from it, reflect on it, and change as a result. So we're no longer going to be the same as before. Both of them necessary, but adaptivity requires harmonious equilibrium, i.e. the one which is not created by opposing extremes on the same scale, such as not being enough or abundant. Why this is important right now? Because there are lots of distortions, and clearly, as humanity, we haven't made much progress so far in the past more than 2,300 years. If you look through what the ancient Greek philosophers said about meaning and purpose of the human life, day by day, pretty much one by one, modern neuroscience now has a technology to actually measure, quantify in a more objective manner what is happening. And although they are at the beginning of mapping out all the connections and see how they work in real time, because time is still a factor, even with the modern imaging such as functional MRI, rather difficult to capture together with the space at the same time. So although we are at the beginning, but day by day they seem to be confirming whatever